Hey, and continuing with our mini week, we're not just going mini today, we are going micro. That's right, it's another Super Impulse sponsored review, and we'll be checking out some figures from their micro line. I teased this in the previous two reviews, so hopefully you guys will get a chance here to check out some really awesome figures. We're going to be looking at Wave 2 of the Transformers micros. So you can see that they maintain that same packaging we saw from Wave 1 here with Megatron. And you can see he has the old call out on the front, and then on the back there they have that little explosive fighting scene between all the robots. Same thing with Soundwave over here. My favorite character, Soundwave. He had that nice robotic voice. Fit in with the, right before, around the auto-tune craze started picking up in the late 80s and early 90s. So yeah, he fit in there with that voice. He had that auto-tuned robotic voice. And then we have something different here. So this is a playset, a micro playset of Castle Greyskull from the Masters of the Universe line. We showed you guys He-Man and Skeletor from Wave 1 of the micro figures. So we'll be checking them out and how they work in Castle Greyskull here. I think this is fun. It just adds a little bit more dynamic play to your micro figure sets. So that is enough of the packaging. We're going to hop in and check out these awesome little figures. So these guys are really tiny. It is hard to show you the really close detail on them. So we are going to do our best of trying to focus on these details while we still able to film this. I mean, it's hard to get really close. But you can see here with our Megatron, and I'll take Soundwave out too, so we don't have to pause here. And again, my favorite, Soundwave, just a great look to the figure, to the voice, everything about him, and then the fact that he could eject other Transformers. Absolutely loved him back in the day. I still love him. So here's a closer view of your Megatron and his packaging. And the great thing about these clamshells is they're resealable. So same with Soundwave here. They are resealable. There are no accessories on the Transformers line, so you're not going to get Soundwave's blaster rifle or anything like that. There were accessories on the other lines. I know in Masters and G.I. Joe, we had accessories here. So you can see a little baggie, and this little baggie is going to have a stand for the figure. So we will take that out. And then there's going to be a little bit of plastic backing just to hold him in place so he doesn't rock around. So you could preserve all of these and then reseal him if you'd like. But here is that absolutely awesome G1 style Megatron. So in his very micro scale, you can see the top of the gun here on his back, and then the scope that transforms on his arm. This should be black, but it's silver. But again, these are micro scale. They're not going to have the same level of detail like a 7-inch figure would, but it's still pretty impressive for the size. I mean, look at the different paint applications on this guy. And he's going to have micro articulation. So his arms move up and down, and I don't think his head moves or his legs. So it's just his 2 points of articulation. Does not transform. I'm gonna spoil it right there. That would be insane. You'd probably need some tweezers to help transform these guys. But great little look on him. I don't think you need the stand. He stands pretty well on his own, as you can see here. And it's a very tiny hole to put on the figure here, but you can put the stand on. It just gives you a little bit more of a solid support ground there. And then the other figure we have here is my favorite again, and that's Soundwave. I'm not going to take his stand out, we'll just leave it in there. So Soundwave, as you can see here, has his classic G1 look as well, which hopefully you guys can see this and it's not too blurry. So he has a great look front and back of all those classic Soundwave components. So you can see that battery that turns into the shoulder-mounted blaster there. Of course, you can't see the other battery that turns into his gun. And then he's got that back clip, and then that cassette chest. So he has all the hallmarks of Soundwave. Of course, he has the articulating arms like Megatron here. And then he has the play, stop, rewind, fast forward buttons on his chest as well. So that is nice that they included all that detail. Several paint applications here. You have the yellow on the knees. You have that silver look on all his extremity parts here for when he turns into the boombox, or I always thought it was Walkman, but it was a boombox to some people. and then sometimes it was a Walkman. They could change size back then. So that is sort of the great thing about them. So there's your Soundwave and your Megatron. I mean, they are really, really tiny. I can't underscore that, like thumb, essentially, height. So these two are great. They're add to your line. The first line was Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, and Starscream. So Starscream will help you complete your core villain set. And then RC is in this second wave. I just wanted to focus on the villains here because I love villains. And they're so small, like these guys can battle on top of the chest of Optimus Prime. So it's very cool to have even smaller versions of Micro Transformers. But here's another thought. They're kind of small enough that if you bought that HasLab Unicron, they might be almost scale to go along with that HasLab Unicron. So kind of fun if you wanted to have a little display, and these guys being that small compared to him. Something to think about. That's just kind of fun there. But I mean, the other great thing you get to do with the micro figures is you could use them as figures for your big toys. So for example, if I had Raphael here from the Ninja Elite series, I could use him, and he could be playing with a Soundwave figure that he opens or owns as a gift here. And if I grip him in the hand, essentially you could use him, and you could have a if you were doing a display and you wanted the turtles to have Transformers, you could totally do that. If you have a display and you want Transformers to have Transformers action figures, you could do that. So I think they're perfect for the 6-inch scale size. So whether it be your Elite series from Playmates, or your Marvel Legends series, or your Black series from Star Wars line, or whatever scale you wanted, any of the NECA figures, these are perfect to go along with those in some kind of diorama display. And they could just sit on the shelf, or a character could be using them, but they're a great scale essentially for that size of character. So if you're dabbling in the 1/12 scale, these guys could be the Transformers toys to go along with those action figures. So just something to think about, another great use for them. And then we have this set here of Castle Greyskull. So in the past, we've only seen action figures. So this is the first play set that we've seen in micro scale, and I think it's just awesome. I think it goes well, and it really helps you expand your set. So Castle Greyskull here really looks like Castle Greyskull. It's not going to have all the little additional parts in them that you probably lost over the years. It's just going to be pretty basic, but it does open. So you do have that interior. It doesn't have the shelves, so none of the levels are there. But here we go. The drawbridge does go down, and it has those great teeth, if you could see them here on this drawbridge. So really nice being able to keep that detail in there. So just a little fun. But I want to show you how they would interact with other characters. So if you remember, we did a review with He-Man Masters of the Universe figures from the Micro line. And we showed you how they were small enough to fight on the bicep of the giant He-Man. Again, really great figure here with his articulation, and then he even has a very mini version of his chest armor that is put on top. It's not molded on, it's its own piece. So really great that they kept that detail. He has weapons. I'm not going to go into reviewing him again. He was awesome. He has his power sword and his shield and stuff like that. But here we go. I wanted to show you He-Man going into his Castle Greyskull. He's a little taller than the door, so it's not really in the scale. It probably have to be twice the size to be in scale with the micro figures, but it's still fun to be able to have He-Man here in He-Man's house, essentially. So it kind of works really well. For world building, if you just wanted Castle Greyskull in the background here of a little micro display. Again, if you are playing with a 7-inch figure, 6-inch figure, that 1/12 scale, and you're making a diorama, it doesn't hurt to have a little play set to throw in that diorama as well. And then you could throw in your Micro Masters of the Universe figures like Skeletor and He-Man here, and be able to have a nice little display. Yeah, you have them poking out the top or whatever you want. So just a little bit of extra fun. On the back, you got that full line of characters that are available now. So wave 1 was He-Man and Skeletor, and then Teela came out slightly after that with the Battle Cat. And then wave 2 here, we have Slime Pit He-Man, we have Green Goddess Teela, And then we have, what is this, Leo, Skeletor, and then Oracle. You know, Orko is out now too. And then this Castle Greyskull. So you could build up your world a little bit and have an assortment of characters for your Masters of the Universe micro collection. But again, these are great if you wanted to play with them and have them for your whatever scale figures that you have. I would recommend something in the 1/12 line because it'd just be too big for like a 3-inch figure. But unless it was something like Super 7 made to be that large. But yeah, this would go great. So again, if you're building a display and want some action figures to throw in that display to just make it, build it out, make it a little bit more lifelike, you could totally get these kind of figures for that set, these micro figures. So 2 great uses. If you're a fan and you want little mini figures around, that's kind of fun, you could do that. Or if you want to build out a, if you're a diorama builder, these are great to include. You don't have to work on super tooling them because they're already done, and they have amazing detail. I mean, look at this He-Man one again with this armor on top of it, and he has his accessories. So it's like a full toy set here that someone could be using or have in the background that's already done for you. So 2 great uses, diorama builders, and just in its own right if you're a collector. So worth checking out. So we hope you enjoyed this little look at some micro figures from Super Impulse, the latest in the Transformers line, Wave 2, with Megatron and Soundwave. Of course, there's that RC as well. We just wanted to focus on the bad guys today. And then this awesome playset for the Masters of the Universe line with that opening drawbridge, and it opens itself as well. So you could definitely do a lot with these. Like I said, if you're a fan of just Masters of the Universe and you want a really small micro set, you could definitely get these along with the other figures. That line is up to like 8 or 9 characters now, really taking off. And they have weapons even in that scale, so it's insane. Or if you want to use them, if you're a diorama builder, and you need something for your 1/12 scale figures to have their own figures, you could definitely do that. You could use these guys to go, I think they pair perfectly with both 6-inch and 7-inch figures in the line. So in any of those lines, so if you want to use them with NECA, if you want to use them with Hasbro, if you want to use them with Playmates, anything along those lines would work. So I think that's really cool to be able to have figures that you could play with in that dynamic. For your figures. So very versatile, 2 different ways. These retail anywhere from like $7 to $15 depending on where you get them from. If I could find some links, I will include them in this video. You can find them in the stores at Target, at Walmart. I think World Market has them. You should see them on Amazon. They'll be in a whole bunch of places. Just watch out. If they look like they're too much money, it's probably from a secondary market, so it's probably from a third-party seller. You don't want to grab those, you want to pay retail on these. So you see them in a lot of different places, but if you want, looking for particular ones, we'll try to get you some links. So definitely stocking stuffer appropriate. Even the packaging is nice and slender, so you can slide that into a stocking, and they're just kind of fun to be able to see these pop out in that stocking when you're opening them on Christmas morning, and then it's just cool. A lot of detail and a little package, more than meets the eye. So definitely worth checking out. I hope you enjoyed this video. That is our end of focusing on Super Impulse products for this gift guide. Of course, we'll look at more Super Impulse in the future, but that wraps it on our Super Impulse stuff for the gift guide. And we have more micro and mini stuff for you to look at this week. So keep tuning back as we fill out our stockings with our Stocking Stuffer week. So that is all for this time. Like, subscribe, and follow, and we'll see you guys next time.